Let's move to our next session. We have one more interesting speaker today. Our next presenter today is Rajdeep Sengupta. He's just 19 years old, who is just completing year one of Bachelor in Computer Science. He's going to talk about how he went from not knowing what Cosmos DB was to build a full-fledged full-stack web application in 1 month. He has built a versatile app called Booklee that uses the Cosmos DB with cognitive search. We are excited to have you here and to hear more about your learning and also the journey with Cosmos DB. Over to you, Rajdeep.
Thank you. Hey everyone, myself Rajdeep Shingupta. I'm a first year BTECH computer science student from Hate Institute of Technology. So let's get started with the session. As the session name suggests, hearing about Cosmos DB to building a full stack web app within a month with Cosmos DB. So there will be a mixture of tech and story on how we built a web app within a month that reached Microsoft Imagine Cup finals and top 8 in India in education category. And all of this using Cosmos DB as our main database. And this is going to be a basic session on why we choose Cosmos DB over any other databases, and how to create a Cosmos DB database, how to integrate with it with cognitive search, and also how to connect it with Next.js web app and with the MongoDB API. So first things first, how it all started. It was around end of November when I received a mail from Microsoft saying that register for the 2022 Imagine Cup, and the email is so good. We thought like, why not? We should give it a try, and we registered for Microsoft Imagine Cup. So when we were just reading through the rules and regulations, we noticed a point saying that we must use an Azure tool or Azure service in the project. Back then, we have completely zero knowledge about what is Azure. We researched about Azure a lot, and after a lot of searching, reading the blogs, official documentation, and videos, we decided we'll use Azure Cosmos DB as our main database, Azure Cognitive Search for advanced search feature in our web app, Azure geocoding and geolocation APIs to enable location functionalities, and Azure Maps for the map functionalities. And from then, within the first week of January, we were able to build a full stack web app with Azure Cosmos DB as our main database. Now, there are lots of reasons why we choose Cosmos DB as our main database over MongoDB or any other database. So move on to that part. So why we choose Cosmos DB as our main database, and why you should also choose Cosmos DB as your main database. So the first point is ease of use. It is really easy to build apps on using language of your choice with SDKs for .NET, Java, Node.js, and Python, or your choice of drivers for any other database APIs, like we used MongoDB in the case. Azure Cosmos DB schema-less service automatically indexes all your data regardless of data model to deliver blazing fast queries. And the whole database is fully managed, so there is no maintenance. The next part is, as we are students, this point is really important for us. It's really cost effective. As it is a fully managed database service, automatically there is no touch, no maintenance, no patching and update. So it saves developer time and also the money. It has cost-effective options for unpredictable workloads for any size or scale, enabling us to get started easily without having to plan or manage our capacity. A serverless model offers spiky workloads, automatic and responsive service to manage traffic burst on demand. And as we are using Next.js, and building a serverless app is the best suit for us. It has auto-scale provision throughput automatically, and it instantly scales capacity for unpredictable workloads. Now, the next point is speed and scalability. As our app is kind of a marketplace, we had a lot of data and we need it super fast. Cosmos DB offers real-time access with fast read and write latencies globally, and throughput and consistency, all backed by SLAs. It also has multi-region writes and data distribution to any Azure region with a simple click of a button. While starting, we don't know the amount of data we will have, and here comes Cosmos DB's independently and elastically scale storage and throughput across any Azure region, even during unpredictable traffic bursts for unlimited scales worldwide. Now, the next point is MongoDB API. The Azure Cosmos DB API for MongoDB makes it really easy to use Cosmos DB as if we are using a MongoDB database. You can leverage your MongoDB experience and continue to use MongoDB drivers, SDKs, and tools by pointing your application to the API for MongoDB accounts connecting to screen. And it's really helped us as we have previous experience with MongoDB, so the learning curve is almost zero for us. And one who had already experience with MongoDB, for them it's also going to be a zero learning path for using Cosmos DB. And with Mongo's on top of MongoDB, we can easily use .save, .find, and more easy to use fast new functions for fast development. Now the point is integration with Azure Cognitive Search. As we choose Azure Cognitive Search for advanced search functionalities in our web app, it was really easy to integrate Azure Cosmos DB database with it. Within a few clicks, we are all set to search data in our Cosmos DB database. Now let's move on to creating a database in Cosmos DB, how you can create a database in Cosmos DB. So let's get started to Azure portal first. After signing in, you will be redirected to a dashboard like this. You may not have any recent resources like me if you're trying out Azure for the first time. You can find a lot of options, but for now, we can start creating a resource. So you can just click on the create resource button on the top left corner, and you can just search for Azure Cosmos DB. You will find a page like this. Just simply click on the create button to proceed. After that, you will have a bunch of options. Let's understand them. So the first one is Core SQL. This is the Azure Cosmos DB's native API. This uses a SQL query language, which is super popular. The second option is Azure Cosmos DB API for MongoDB. You can write simple MongoDB code and use Mongoose on top of that for your application. And with that, you use Cosmos DB as if it is MongoDB. The third one is Cassandra. This is also same as MongoDB, and you can use Cassandra database instead of MongoDB with the Cassandra API. Next one is Azure Table. It is suitable if you have existing code for Azure Table. Azure Table is yet another service offered by Azure. The last one is Gremlin. It's a graph database. If you have a graph database workload and that uses Gremlin, then it's the best option for you. Now I'm going to use Azure Cosmos DB API for MongoDB, and I'm going to choose MongoDB from those 5 options. The next part, we have to fill up all the details. I will use Azure Student Subscription as I have it. You can choose whatever you have. Then choose the resource group. For now, I'm not going to explain what is a resource group, but if you are trying Azure for the first time, most probably you will not have a previous resource group. So you can create a new resource group. Now for the account name, you can choose any. There are some limitations. You cannot use capital letters, or there are some basic limitations. You can just take care in that mind, and you can choose anything for the account name. Now for the location, you can choose any Azure location, but try to have a database near to your users. Let's talk about capacity mode. For choosing a capacity mode, you can just refer to this table and you can just choose what you want. But in a simple words, if you have a predictable recurring traffic and you want low latency, then go for a provision throughput. And on the other hand, if you don't have a predictable workload, then go for a serverless one. This will be going to be a benefit for you. I will choose provision throughput for now and have a rest as it is. Now see the global distribution section. I will disable both options because for now I don't want to distribute my database in multi-region. You can enable them to have more latency and better performance of your database all over the globe or the regions you choose. But remember, that will come up with some additional charges. So in the next section is networking. The first one is all network, means you are allowing all networks, or you can say everyone who has their credentials, database credentials, they can connect to you. The next one is public front end. This is when you want your web application or your mobile application only to connect to your database. Now the last option is private endpoint. If you have a private server and only want that private server or only then want that private server's IP to connect to a database, then you can choose this option. For the sake of the simplicity, I'm just going to use all network in this demo. Now the next one is pretty simple, is the backup policy. You can have a periodic backup and continuous backup, which is always on and which is always replicating your database to somewhere else. For this, I will choosing periodic backup for 240 minutes. In each hour, it will back up my data, and choose the backup retention to be 8 hours. That means a backup will be there for only 8 hours. After that, new backup will replace it. For the rest, it's pretty explanatory. Now the next point is encryption. I'm going to choose service manage key because here you don't need to manage any key. Azure will take care all of this. They will encrypt your database, and you don't need to worry anything about the keys or anything. The second option is customer manage key. Here you need to manage your keys. The customer has the keys, so you need to manage them. So for again the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to use the service manage key. So the next one is tag. If you want tags, you can add them, but it's an optional one. So I'm not going to add tags for this demo, but you can definitely add tags for better understanding. Now you can just review all the option until it validates. So you can say the estimated account creation time is 2 minutes. The subscription I'm going to use is Azure Students. The resource group is Clueless. Location is West US. The account name I have chosen Rajdip account. The API I'm going to use the Azure Cosmos DB for MongoDB API. The capacity mode is provision throughput. You can also choose serverless. The geo redundancy is disabled, and the multi-region rights is also disabled. For the backup policy, I choose periodic, and the backup storage redundancy geo redundant backup storage I have chosen. For the connectivity method, I chose all network because for this demo, I want all the networks who have the credentials to be able to connect to my database. Now you can simply click on the create button. After that, you will see a page like this where your database will be created and the deployment will be in progress. You have to wait for 2 to 5 minutes to finish this process. If the process is successful, then you will see a page like this. After, you can just click on the go to resource button and go to the database dashboard. Now you will find a dashboard like this, and you can get pretty overwhelmed seeing this much of option. Just simply click on the data explorer and you will be redirected to a page like this. All the data will store can be browsed here. Here you can also create data manually. Now came back to a dashboard again. You will see there is an option saying connection string. So now here we are entering the part how you can connect a Cosmos DB database with a Next.js app. So now in the left navbar menu, you can see the settings connection string. And if you click on this, you can see all the credentials you have. You have the host, port, primary password, secondary password, primary connection string, secondary connection string, and the SSL. For this, you don't want this space to be shown to anyone. So I'm hiding all the data I have here. So you can just come here and copy the primary connection string from here. Now I'm just going to show you some code snippets that will exact the code snippets that we wrote in our application and explain them to you. First, you can just create an Next.js app using npx create next app and your application name in your terminal. After that, you can simply add a new folder named database and create a connectdb.js in it. You can name them anything you want. So first, let me tell that I have also installed MongoDB and Mongoose as a dependency in my app. So in the first line, I'm simply importing Mongoose, then building a function named connection DB. First, I'm checking if the client is already connected to the database or not, because in Next.js, each time we run the connection DB function from the client side, this will connect to the database, but we don't want a single user to connect to the database for the multiple time. If a user is already connected to the database, we just return from the function. Then if the user is not connected, I'm just simply using the mongoose.connect function and using the Mongo URL. And I'm just put the Mongo URL in the env folder because this is what you don't want to expose publicly. Now from then it's going to connect to the database. Now after that, you can just we are just simply saying that if the Mongoose connection is connected, then we will be just console logging that is will connected to the database. And if there is any occur that will happen, we'll just simply log that error while connecting and the error itself. Now in the next part, we'll be adding some data to the database. Now let's see how we can add some data in the database. So first of all, we need to build a schema. And again, I'm just importing the mongoose in the first line. Then we are just building a schema named cell book schema. And this is the exact schema we used in our project named Booklee. So here we're just simply using the mongoose function, so new.mongoose schema, and specifying all the things we want. So here you can see the name, author, photo, condition, category, and all other stuff. So I'm just marking something required, or if the data is required or not. Now in the next part, I am just simply exporting it as a model. Now in the next part, let's just add some data to the database with this function. So first of all, I'm just simply importing the connection DB function from the connection DB from the database slash connection DB. I'm importing also the cell book from the database slash model slash cell book. This is where we placed. This is the path of the function, or you can say the files. Now I'm just validating the data second time in the backend. So after we get all the data from the request.body, we are just destructuring all the data. And then which are the required fields, I'm just giving a if else statement for that. So there is, if there is no name, no author, no condition, and all other stuff, if these are the required things, if they are not in the, then they don't come from the front end, this is just going to return a error saying that please fill all the fields. Now in the next function, we are saving all the data in the database. Now you have a we have all the data, and we are just all saving all the data using the new cellbook function, and using the .save function, we are saving it all in the database. Now at the end, I'm just giving a status code of 201. That means something new is created, and just returning the data that is actually created in the database back to the front end. Now if you store a data from here, just simply the data will be look like this. There will be already a database data created. There's a new, it will be created as _id, and as we are using the MongoDB API, this will be called object id, and you can find the object id there. Now you can see the name, author, photo, and all the things we have in schema, that is here. As you can see, the school is not a required field, so you can just simply skip that. That will come with a empty string, or can become with a null in your database. Now this is all from my side, so thank you for having me, and I will want to thank Azure Cosmos DB to give me a chance to talk in this conference.
Thanks, Rajit. I think it was great to hear from one of the Imagine Cup finalists here. You covered about how you started with this application in quick time, and you also demonstrated step-by-step instructions from creating the account to coding to deployment. I have a question on behalf of beginners on Cosmos DB. What are the 3 most useful Cosmos DB resources that you would recommend for any of your friends, or even for the beginners on Cosmos DB who want to actually get started with Cosmos DB?
So the most important thing is like the official documentation. The official documentation is super good. You can just browse through it and you can find everything in it. But if you prefer videos, you can just see the Azure Cosmos DB channel itself. You have the Microsoft India channel where we just find something. So we have used this too only, and we just covered all the things in that we required.
Thanks. Okay. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Rajdeep. Can you also talk a bit about your application stack and architecture, and what other Azure services you have used?
Yeah, so you can find our application in booklee.versal.app. So this is a simple application where you can simply donate your book to its nearby NGOs. There's also, you can sell your books, sell your secondhand books. You can just buy from there. You can also search through your college, because in the most of the cases, if you are in college, you are in school, in the most of the time you are searching the books for your to the seniors, not going outside of the college. So you can just search the book in your college if any one of your seniors have the book there. So in that case, we just use Next.js, and this is a totally serverless app. We use the Next.js API routes for this one. And also, here we use Azure cognitive search, because we don't want to implement the search filter, because we don't have much time to build all the search functionalities, like everything. So use Azure cognitive search for that. And with a simple few clicks, you can just import the database, and Azure cognitive search will do a magic, and you have all the indexes, everything just lined up for you. You can just click on the next, and you don't need to configure anything to just filter, to get the URL to filter all the data. And also, if I say the Azure we use the Azure geolocation and geocoding APIs, because we are just showing the area where the book is from. Because if you are buying a book and you need to know from where the seller is, you can go for online payment, or you can just go to him and take the book. So you are just allowing the users to see the area from where the book is. Also, we are using the geocoding and geolocation API for the search functionalities, in the where we use the actually you can search the nearby NGOs with a simple 2 to 3 clicks after filling out a form. That with Microsoft search APIs, we are just creating all the data, or all the nearby registered NGOs within a 5 kilometer, and we are all showing all the perfect latitude with the perfect latitude and longitude on the map with the Azure Maps and geocoding, and with the help of geocoding and geolocation API.
That's awesome. So this will be super useful for all the students. And like you said, if anybody has old books to give away and stuff like that. So that's great. And Rajdeep, you are still studying, and I'm confident that you'll be creating more apps down the line. So what's your next project using Cosmos DB?
So we are using a mobile application this time. So this is going to be a mobile application. You can just scan any medicine. You can just scan any medicine. You can just fill out your data and everything. Just you can scan any medicine, and it will tell you if the medicine is counterfeit for you or not. Just if you are just going to store, just scan any medicine, and it will be saying you if the medicine is counterfeit or not. You can also see if there is in the online market, where you can buy, what the price is, what you need to look up for that, like what are the things, like what is the name, what are the compositions. Composition is not the most required part. In the most important thing is, can you consume the medicine? If you have like diabetes, if you have sugar, there are some medicines you cannot consume. So it will give you a red alert. There are some in the medicine section, like medicines and all other stuff. There are also some like expiry options. So the AI will detect all of this and give you all the expiry dates of that medicine. So you are not going to consume any medicine that is already expired and all.
That's awesome, Rajdeep. Thank you for your time. This was a great session. Firstly, you showed us how to use Cosmos DB as a virtually limitless database, and how other full stack developers can use it to build applications quickly and deploy the app to cloud with static web app generators like Vercel and static web apps. And I'm also super excited to see your enthusiasm about solving more of these real life problems. Isn't it, Saji?
Yeah, I think I'm inspired by this session. He spoke about the applications that he's planning to build. It's great to see that, how he has used the full stack web app using Cosmos DB in QuickTime by leveraging all the capabilities. He talked about the SDK capabilities that we have, and the learning curve, which he mentioned as very simple. And hope to see many more applications from you, Rajdeep. Thanks again for joining us today.